Alright, so kind of windy out here. You'll probably hear the wind blowing, but really nice day. But I ran across this John Deere 170 not too long ago. Finally getting around to do something with it. It was looks to be in really good shape. It looks like somebody had, tried to repaint it, and there's still some rust spots. The tires are all good. They've been sitting here for at least a month, and they're still holding air. The biggest problem I saw that I ran into was with the steering. It will turn to the right, but when I try to turn it back to the left, you can hear the gear just popping on it, right? So I already took the mowing deck off, and I'm going to take a look and see what's going on with the steering linkage. Yeah, so there's the mowing deck. It's actually in pretty good shape. There's a little rust there. I would guess this has probably been repainted before also, but everything's in really good shape. The pulleys are turning free. There's no rust throughs and all that good stuff. So that's good. There's some rust down here, the usual spots. And it looks like you can tell it's been repainted here. Right in there. It looks like they covered up a lot of rust that was under here. That looks like a new tire. But overall, yep, there's some overspray. But overall, for its age, it's a good-looking little tractor. Has the Kawasaki motor on it. Not bad for a freebie. But here's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the steering is really, really tight. And there you go. When I try to turn it the other way, it just... So I don't want to keep doing that. So let's take a look underneath and see if we can see the gearing there, and then I'll probably take the battery out and all that good stuff. But so let's see if we can get a good shot of it here. Yeah, you can see the gearing, and I was expecting to see some worn out gears or something, but it actually looks pretty good. One thing I do see right here, you can tell it's not lined up. It's sitting way low, and it's not engaging that gear at all. And that's why it's clicking across. Now on these, we'll probably have to take a look up underneath here. Up above here, sorry about the camera angles here. Up above the plate where this goes, there's a spring load that keeps this gear up against the frame, right? Up against the bracket. And I believe it's on both sides, on the mounting for this gear, and then on your steering column, there's a spring up at the top that's supposed to keep this flush up against that plate. So let's go take a look at that up at the top. So you can see I took the battery out in that bottom plate. And I don't know if you can see down there, there's that one spring. And let me go around here for a better look. Well, not much better. But if you look straight down there, you'll see one spring. But look at this. There's a lot of rust in here. You can see your steering shaft right there. And there's the spring just laying on its side. Grab this thing. Oh. So there's a rusty spring. This is supposed to be in place below that cotter pin. So that was definitely the problem. I'll just have to pull this up, insert the spring. It looks like a top washer is gone too. There's a washer on the top and on the bottom, with the bottom against the plate and the top up against that cotter pin. And the spring load, that's what keeps your steering up and keeps that gear engaged. Well, I'm kind of curious. It's I don't see how this could have. The spring is rusty, but it's still functionable. I don't see how it could have slipped off of that steering column unless somebody had worked on this before and didn't put this back in. So I think I'll try to clean up. This is the rustiest spot I've seen, but it's still sturdy. There's no rust throughs. It's just heavy surface rust. And down there at the bottom. Okay, I'll clean that out. I think I'll dip this in some of the evapor rust, get the rust off of it, and get a couple of washers. Okay, I missed a lot of video here. I thought it was on, but it was not, and I finished the job here. But you can see what I did. I took the little plastic shroud off and treated it for rust and used that Krylon, or not Krylon, Rust-Oleum rust converter. Cleaned everything out, and you can see what I did. Because the spring was here, it was just kind of laying here on the side. Whoever worked on this did not put the spring back on, so I went and got another washer. I cleaned off the old spring and make sure that, you know, it's not rusted through, that it's going to still have some tension on it. That did fine. What I did, let me show underneath. Okay. Now you see the gear here, and it has a cotter pin holding it on, and I noticed it was also on upside down. So make sure that you put it in there right. But if you take the cotter pin out, this gear, and you'll probably have to jiggle it because it's meshed right up against the gear here, but that'll come out, and then you can pull the column up. Then I slid the spring and the washer on. And you can make sure your wheels are pointing forward, and then line up your steering wheel. I think I was a gear or two off, but to get it to look straight. And then when you insert the steering shaft down, I would put the gear in place first, and then you can slide your steering the steering rod down into it and put your cotter pin in. And that was it. So there we go. It wasn't that it was a broken part or anything, it was just not put together correctly. So be sure when you're looking at the steering stuff, I always check for any kind of damaged gearing in there. But when I noticed that everything was okay, there was no stripped gears or anything like that, when I dug down into it, I noticed that the spring wasn't on, and so it was just just wasn't put back together correctly. So good, it was an easy fix, didn't cost anything except for the cost of a washer. But it's ready to go.